Hello. Good morning. It is almost 10 o'clock. Talk faster. 9:59 on this, what is it, Wednesday. Happy hump day, everybody. Happy hump day. I know, we're back to StormTALK again. Well, it's only for a short time, if that helps. Hello to Ashley, and Adam, and Angela, all the Angelas. Kevin, Rusty, I saw your comments. We'll cover Friday, don't worry. Hello, Sean, and Carrie's on. Miss Turtle, I'm glad you got your CPU fixed. That was fast. I would still be working on it, more than likely anyway. Hello, everyone. Wave meteorologist Brian Good. Yes, we're back to StormTALK today because of what will likely take place in the next 24 hours. And then we'll have a chance to hopefully get back to the good weather blog for at least a couple of days. Then probably back to StormTALK for a few more. Then yada, yada, yada. No snow talk, though, in the outlook. Not yet, anyway. Okay, so here's the game plan. Today, we are seeing the clouds roll in. We talked about yesterday. We will likely, for today, we will likely have at not sure if you can hear that or not, but they are doing work on the building. And that is going to happen. I don't know where they're at in this wall. It's a little terrifying, to be honest. But just so you know, it's the wall and the sounds. It's not me. I want to make sure I clarify. But it may be a little loud. Maybe. I mean, these mics are, pretty sensitive, right? I mean, supposed to just pick up my voice anyway. But still, if you hear it, I don't want you to worry. All right. So what was I saying? Something about weather. Weather, snow, storms. Nah, don't worry about it. It'll come back to me. All right, let's start off with the latest look on the severe risk as we head into the next couple of days. And it's only today, really, and that's a little odd, I feel, for the Storm Prediction Center because they have to deal with a time period that roughly is 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. kind of a game plan. So sometimes your severe weather happens at 5 to 7 a.m. So the outlook will be out and you'll be shaded, your county will be shaded in a color for something that's going to happen only at the very early part of that day. Or it would be a situation where it's only at the very late night portion of it, where only a few hours of the next day is only included, if that makes sense. So they work in big time periods. So what we do is try to guide you through why there's an outlook for what time period of day. And that's where obviously meteorologists come in. So they draw the maps up. Our job is to explain why they are designed the way they do. So they'll always take a map, especially a Storm Prediction Center map, and say that must be for today, that must be for this afternoon. Not always the case. Not always the case. Time period, about how the setup plays out. The finer details do matter here. And this is a good example of that. While we have the marginal risk out, the majority of this marginal risk is really for midnight tonight through the morning commute tomorrow, is what today's outlook is for. Not for tomorrow. It's not listed as 7 a.m. or after on Thursday, because the majority of that should happen before 7 a.m. So again, a little lopsided in how things will play out today. I'll explain hour by hour. But notice we don't have any other days filled in other than today's current outlook. Nikki says, I'm late to the party. What's the word? We just started the word. Because we have cicadas apparently in the building today coming through. Who ate the Taco Bell? Ellen, I wasn't going to go there. I'm just being clear. It's not me. Okay, so looking west on our SkyTrack camera, you could see the clouds. This is the fading MCS that was back into Missouri during the overnight hours. Continues to hold on, but fading fairly quick. So with temperatures this morning, not moving a whole lot from where they are now. Very modest rise here today because the cloud cover. We saw a nice sunrise. Those of you that are getting a little bit more of a brighter sunrise and are enjoying it, are having a chance to get warmer than anybody else will be. The more north and west you are, I'm not going to say done for warming for the day. You're just going to be holding steady for a while. You may have a chance to warm back up, say above 77, 78, above that level at the very last minute today. Perhaps after 5 p.m., you may have a spike at the last minute of the day. Louisville will be very similar, actually. So not a lot of climb just because of the fact we don't have that blue sky today, a lot of the shade over us. And you can see the canopy of clouds that have just invaded all over Indiana, central Kentucky, and again, our southern counties. You've had a bright, sunny sunrise, already a bright, sunny mid-morning. But if you look west out your yard, you should see the wall of clouds that are coming your way. Now, at times they may thin as the rain fades out, but we got to get the rain to shut down a bit more than what it is, and then the clouds have a chance to thin out more from there. And I think that process will gradually happen throughout the day. So I don't want to say it's going to be overcast all day. I don't think that's true. I just think that for several hours, it will certainly be overcast. Let's get you a little bit more west so we can see this little guy. And it is pretty active back into Missouri, where you're getting a lot of showers and storms because they are on the southwest side of this. So they're still in all the fun, taking all the energy, the showers and storms. And whoops, my radar went out. Hold on. There we go. Showers and storms are feeding on that as they drift in, and then they hit a wall of basically stable air on the other side, so they get sheared out, and this is what flies over our heads. So you go from rain and thunderstorms here in Missouri that are closer to the ground level, and you got to look at it as like a slant, and then the rain actually builds up higher and higher and higher, way up high, and then thins out to where all you get is a few drops that just fly over Evansville and back toward even Louisville as it heads eastbound. So it's getting sheared out, but this is all stratiform rain, we call it. And this will be the zone that you could get a few more light showers before it fades away completely. But it's doing so by the minute. So it's coming out a few hours left at best. Meanwhile, the thunderstorm part of this will likely keep going, and it should aim more into the western side of Nashville and into around, say, Jackson, Tennessee. That should be their little game for the day. And see, Sean, you thought that you had to deal with that all the time at your construction site. My turn, I guess. Can you even hear that? Type 1 if you can hear it. Type 2 if you don't hear it at all, and I just need to stay quiet because I don't want to acknowledge it if you can't hear it. It's just really loud in here for me. Okay, so what happens later on today? Well, with this feature being around, there's not much that's going to happen. It's going to stay relatively quiet. Can't roll out as the clouds try to thin out. We could get one or two spotty downpours, maybe a thunderstorm that could redevelop later this afternoon. Okay, so you guys can't hear it. Sorry. As we into the afternoon hours, but that would be very, very spotty, nothing too wild in nature. All right. So let me show first off the Storm Prediction Center outlook as a general map here. And today you can see they've got the slide that's out. Again, they're lucky in the sense, SPC is, that where the current MCS is, if there's any low and severe risk, it matches the spot. Where the storms form tonight into the overnight hours, their initiating point happens to be in the same spot, and they could be severe. So they got lucky that it turns out both areas are fair for using the same maps. They really didn't have to change a whole lot. And you can see where the two maps are overlapped with that little indentation north of Cincinnati, where there's two different thoughts that were drawn out. But because of the same color, you wouldn't catch that otherwise. It's like looking at that photo where you try to find, 20 things that are wrong in this photo. That's one of those things that looks like a AI kind of glitch there. And it's only because, again, there are two different periods of storms that could be strong, overlap. They just happen to appear on paper nearly in the exact same spots. But it is why we are in the marginal risk, is the overnight round that will develop. Once we get past this morning MCS, I'm thinking the 330, I believe it's a 330 outlook today that we'll get from the Storm Prediction Center. It should erase the current MCS and then only have whatever's happening tonight. So the 330 map, I believe it'll be then. It could be as early as the one that comes out at 12:30 today, but I'm thinking 330. That will have the full severe risk for tonight. And I don't think it's going to look any different than what you really see here. But just keep in mind there could be some gustier storms. So your tornado potential, mainly for the overnight round, will be there in West Kentucky. Again, the same spots. And then tomorrow's severe risk, it's so far down because everything just gets pushed way down early in the day that there's not much of a worry really for Thursday. Could get a few showers around early in the day, but I don't see much other than that. So I'm going to show you the graph model again. They're all a little different. Storyline is the same though. We fade out the current MCS, which it tries to do by 2 to 3 hours from now. Once that happens, you get into a hint or two of some thunderstorms that may form along the front that is still lingering north. Otherwise, our main trigger for tonight is going to be the low-level jet, which is a nocturnal jet we deal with every night in these setups. And as it begins to ramp up, its target flow is going to be roughly southern Illinois, just south of St. Louis, to about Bowling Green. That is where the strongest of the wind belt will start, not long after sunset. And as soon as that ramps up, that will be the lift that this atmosphere will need to then form a region here of thunderstorms fairly quick. Now, remember what I said yesterday, when you get conglomerates of thunderstorms, like in this case, we get some at 1 o'clock in the morning tonight, early in the morning, that once they form, then they can start to develop their own mini low pressure to them and become the MCV or MCS. This is possible. Some of the models keep these so ragged that they don't have a chance to bump into one another to have a chance to become something more than that. There are a few high-res models that are trending today, including this one, that want to group them together enough into the tri-state area between Evansville and Paducah that they would actually have a chance to become a little smaller MCV or MCS that could form. Now, say that's the case, as this model is showing, that's fair. That means everything will become very loud overnight, a lot of loud showers and thunderstorms, but it is a nighttime event. And because it is a nighttime event, the bases off the ground are going to be relatively high. So I'm not as worried on a tornado threat in this kind of environment as I am very heavy rain, flash flooding. In fact, the order I think this is going to play out is going to be lightning, flash flooding, damaging winds that can accompany some of the Boeing segments, tornado, and then hail. And tornado and hail at the very bottom of the list. But I think the the other elements, like lightning's not a severe weather element, but I think as far as impacts, I'm listing impacts, not severe elements. That's the order that this looks to have. Anyway, get started about 1 o'clock in the morning. That's fair. Once it organizes, it becomes the MCS, MCV, and can develop now a Boeing segment that right now is showing science is going to aim toward Bowling Green as a spot to watch for. I'm just going to keep talking. More of a damaging wind threat for Bowling Green down into Nashville. I don't see much support for it to go more toward Louisville. Louisville, in fact, may be closer to the spin of the MCV. Thank goodness it's at night. Otherwise, if this was a daytime track, we would have that low-end tornado potential we'd have to watch. Still not going to roll it out completely if the bases are lower than expected, but if we are in the little spin of the mini low, we'll need to watch that. And typically with these, you have a band of rain that snakes out from it on the tail, the comma. But here's the front off to the north. It also will remain active with rain too during the overnight hours. So here's your snapshot. 4 o'clock in the morning, rounds of rain, thunderstorms. That's all you really need to get from everything I'm rambling here about. And some of that could be continuing a few severe thunderstorm warnings. Not going to roll that out as well. Have a way to get notified just in case. Otherwise, if you're a light sleeper or your dog needs a thunder shirt or you need a thunder shirt, you may want to wear that for tonight and early tomorrow. Let's hope it's out of here by the morning commute. It's possible. Once we get into that period about now, most of the action will get shoved quickly down into Tennessee. And all we're left behind is really just the northern part of this feature, which will be right around the front. And I don't know if it's going to have enough time to power back up to produce a lot of showers and storms. We're going to hold on to a few that could redevelop Thursday afternoon, but I'm not seeing a huge signal because the morning's going to be so active. And most of this is going to be down in Tennessee. What you can't see, I don't know if I can move this or not. Let me see. Oh, I can. What you can't see here is that a lot of this is going to be blocking a lot of the moisture down in Tennessee is going to be forming here, and that will feed or block the deeper moisture from building into Kentucky. So not a huge risk we get severe weather later on. All right, there's Thursday afternoon. Let me get rid of my pen. We get into Friday. Rusty, you're asking about Friday. Friday looks fairly calm. There's not much of a trigger in the region. I can't rod a downpour, but most of your action is going to be in eastern Kentucky, and we're waiting for another front to drop in from Saturday from the north. It's not here yet, so we're kind of just in la-la land here on Friday. Isolated shower chance, sure, it's possible. Otherwise, not bad. Humidity will be felt, but not overly high, not overly low, just kind of right there in the middle. Just a typical August day on Friday is the best way I can word it there. The front does arrive, by the way, as we get into Saturday. You see hints of it at the very end of the scale right there. That will be the one that will give us a few, not a washout on Saturday, just a few thunderstorms on Saturday that will then usher in that cooler flow of air that comes in. You can see that on the Euro. The Euro does overdo this look, but this will be just scattered thunderstorms along this front. I'm not even see, actually, I see showers. I'm not seeing still a lot of support for thunder on Saturday. It may just be rain showers. Anyway, they pass on by, and then once they do, we have another reset, just like we had yesterday to enjoy. We get another one coming up on Sunday and Monday. Looks good. We get into Tuesday. That's a wave day at the fair. We do increase the humidity a bit more, start to bring back at least a chance for a storm. I'm thinking Wednesday may end up being one of the peak days for rain storms there for the region. And then yet another reset happens. The question on this last reset, which would be the very end of August, how dramatic will this be? Some data is quite aggressive with this. I mean, taking us down in the 70s. Some only take us down to like we have this weekend, which will be about, 83. Okay, both are good. I'll take 83. Give us more time. This needs more time in the oven to cook to let you know how this is going to play out. But there is a chance for another reset at the very end of August. However, big asterisks here. I've been looking at the data trends because even though we've been tracking these cooler shots of air, there are growing signs. And I don't have this model to show it, but I just want to show you where the heat is. There are growing signs that how the heat has been sliding here more into Texas and into the western United States in general. I do see it sliding back toward Nashville, I would say the 2nd or 3rd of September. That will likely bring back a bubble of heat in the Ohio Valley. Now, I'm not talking about record heat. I'm just talking about 90 to 93 may come back into play for a few days in early September. But Just as it gets established, I see it getting kicked right again back to the west not long after that. So, pointing all that, we're not done with the heat. It's just that we're going to have more frequent resets or bonus days mixed in. Okay, let me get into the 10-day before they knock down a wall here or something and it falls on me. You can see 80s overall dominate the 10-day. I can't rule out a 90 by next week, and we'll see if we have to add in some 90s beyond this 10 days we get further out in time. But right now we're not there to that point. But I like overall the forecast is not terrible. I know we got some rain there on Saturday, but again, it's going to be very scattered, not a severe risk. So there's a plus on that one. Lori says, how much rain tonight? Well, I think the potential is for 2 inches plus an hour rate. So it's heavy rainfall rates. If it falls in southern Indiana and along the river, it's going to lead to problems for flash flooding because we could easily get 1 to 3 inches of rain out of this setup tonight. I'm a little more concerned that southern Kentucky is going to get the most, where some of the amounts are trending toward 3 to 5 in some cases, but you all have had the least amount of rain compared to everyone else. So you actually can handle, you may not briefly if it's fallen too heavy in a short amount of time, but overall you can handle 3 to 5 near and south parkways more so than northern Kentucky and Indiana can handle 3 to 5. So we're going to get some heavier bands and pockets of rain at time tonight, early tomorrow. But as of now, it looks displaced enough to hopefully we don't have any major problems. But my point is you probably won't have to worry about watering after this passes by. It's going to be a heavy, heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning. We've been teasing the early morning wake-up calls and that kind of stuff. It's one of those setups. And you may have 1 or 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. So if your weather radio goes off again at 3 a.m., you know why. But this is not an outbreak of severe weather, just a typical summertime complex of storms. Some of you sleep really well in this kind of weather. All right. And it may be tough to get out of bed on Thursday. Yes, I agree. But it's that's another bout of rain. Very similar to what we had on Monday, actually. Very similar. Hey, Devin. Will the weather be severe in Hart County area tonight? It's possible you could get a warning. Yes, not going to rule it out. But most of these will be just loud. They'll sound worse than what the reality will be. The bases being higher up off the ground helps. It's just not that way in all areas. Terrain kind of matters a bit. Those sounds remind me of the horror flicks. The sounds of horror flicks. Yeah, I know. It is a little scary. It sounds like a meat grinder going on. Bryce, the 3 to 5 was a little bit more south of you. It wasn't too far away, but it's mainly south is where some of those numbers were coming in. You were more into the 1 to 3 inch range as of now. When you put your frost predictions out, well, I haven't gotten that far yet. But Dixon, I will say that typically, we can have them as early as mid-August, but typically they're more found around Halloween to the first week of November. But are they going to be on time this year or not? And usually it's different every year. As soon as I'm able to get some maps and thoughts out on that, I will. I promise. Hey, Michelle, so I hope the second week of September goes back to comfortable in the Smokies. I agree. I was in the Smokies last year in September, and yeah, it was hot then. We got cool weather at the very end, right when I was leaving, but it makes a difference. Hello, Tootie. Watching all the way from Texas, El Paso. I bet it's hot out there, isn't it, Tootie? Hey, Cameron, thoughts on, sorry, your message. There it is. Thoughts on severe warnings with tornado tagged and sirens sounding. You want my thoughts on that overall process? Sirens have been the same since I was really a kid. It's all community-based. They decide who wants to hit the button or not. I just go by the weather service. I think the only time that if you had a choice, a decision, hit the button, you hit the button when it's a tornado warning or when it's been cited. And when you leave it to other people besides the weather service folks that are running through town and they see a funnel, that's how it was back in the day. That sound country here, but back in the day, yeah, if someone saw a tornado, you would radio somebody and they would hit the button and that's it. And then the weather service warnings were eventually established to kind of coincide with that, because a lot of these civil air defense were from the Cold War era, where a lot of these air sirens that we still have in Louisville, actually. And so they weren't designed to be for tornadoes. We're just using them for tornado potential. And so I think the way it is now, having a way to get alerted by your phone and weather radio, that's the easiest way to just stick with it. I wouldn't get too worried on sirens if you hear them. If anything, a siren, if you hear it and you're a little confused, just turn on us and we'll let you know if you got something to worry about or you don't. And that's usually the best way. But most communities don't hit the button unless there's a tornado warning. Not all, but most don't. So it's not a widespread issue, if that helps, Cameron. Everyone good? Everyone good? Let's see. Diane? Will the humidity be a lot better next week? Yes, for especially Sunday, Monday, excellent. You'll start to feel it Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it should go back down again Thursday and Friday. So there's only a few days where you're going to feel it, and there's other days it's going to feel like it did, especially yesterday. So there are a lot of bonuses coming our way. Carrie, have you seen Disclosure Day? I've seen pieces of it. Fell asleep. I need to rewatch it, but I will. I did watch a trailer for Ahsoka. I was excited about that, and then the Starfighter. I did watch that trailer. I got my Star Wars feed. I don't know a lot about Doom. I know I'm not a huge Marvel person. I can watch Marvel movies, but I'm not huge on Doom, so I'm a little confused probably what's about to happen. I'll still go see the movie, but man, they're all crossing over now, and my head's spinning. I need a flow chart. All right, guys, I'm going to run. Take care. Try to stay dry later tonight. If you have to venture out, work second, third shift, I totally understand. And we'll have updates on the severe risk on this setup as we head into later on this afternoon. Again, I'm thinking during the 3 o'clock show when I'm on the air, we may get an update on if there's any change to that slight risk that'll be just west of 65. We'll let you know if there's any adjustments. And, of course, we'll have adjustments on rain totals. We'll have some numbers for you on that as well. All right, guys, take care. See you soon.